Previously in the anime, the King of the Fist tournament had begun and our competitors were moving forward with their one-hit win, and then the long-awaited match begins between Angelica and Geith. Geith was Snape's brother, so Angelica desperately wanted to win to annul her engagement, but Geith was just way too strong for her to handle, and as a result she got beaten to near death. And it's thanks to Rick that Angelica survived because he threw his shoe at Geith, and thanks to that he missed to kill Angelica. So when Angelica got healed up, poor girl thought marrying Snape and having kids were more suitable for a girl, so Rick showed Angelica what power she could achieve if she trains just for a year with him. And that got her motivated, and Rick defeats Geith with Angelica's flash step technique. Now as the story continues, episode 10 begins. And Angelica thanked Rick for showing her own worth and promised to reach the level he showed in a year. With it, Rick bags the victory on his account and Snape was shocked himself. One of the reasons Snape left his fighting career was after being defeated by Geith, but still seeing this fight made him feel good that there was someone greater than Geith. But that aside, now the engagement with Angelica is annulled and she was happy about it, but Snape felt bad that he couldn't marry a lovely girl like her. Then after this match comes the real thing. And this fight is against the 5-time champion Kelvin versus Brofston. It's going to be a spectacular battle because Kelvin knew it at first glance. Brofston had no opening. So Kelvin tried to create one, but Brofston blocked all the attacks, and just the pressure of Brofston's punch way too much force. But there Geith comes out as he got into his berserk mode thanks to his dragon blood awakening. He started to hurt the audience in his rampage. So Kelvin called him over and easily blocked his attack, and just as that he even sends Geith flying with only one punch. That just shows Kelvin wasn't a 5 times champion for nothing. He must have reached S rank at least. But since there were multiple injured because of Geith, the match got rescheduled for tomorrow, and Brofston noticed that Kelvin wasn't going all out. Then, at a restaurant while our group was filling their tummies, Rick was out jogging to class. Rashia, that's 700 kilometers away, so make it 1400 for a double way. Angelica isn't even surprised anymore. And Rick saw a mountain on the way that resembles Rionette's huge racks, but there Kelvin was also training for the day and got annoyed that Rick found him. But it's good because he wants to fight someone. Rick was holding his own and his punches were damn fast. There Rick also noticed Kelvin is holding back intentionally, so since Rick is also strong, Kelvin opens up that he was raised in the slums, so fighting was a natural thing there. But one day it stopped being a fight for him because Kelvin was strong. Then as he got here for the tournament, at first things were good, but then Kelvin started winning in just a single minute as the match started. With it he kept winning the tournament way too easily, and the owner was happy about it. So he didn't mind, but the fights weren't enjoyable, and one day Kelvin heard that they were losing audience because the fights ends in a single blow, and at this rate, their business will fall apart. So after hearing that, Kelvin started to hold back in the fight to make the match more interesting for the audience, and if it meant saving the gym, Kelvin was ready to get beaten up and was defeated for the first time. From then on, he made it look like he was struggling to fight to entertain the audience, and that's how he managed to save the business and still won the tournaments until now. Well, that's good and all, but Rick told Kelvin to not hold back tomorrow against Brofston, and he means it. Then Rick goes off, so the next day, match starts again. And today the authorities have even casted a barrier in the arena for safety. With it, the fight starts, and Kelvin still couldn't injure Brofston. But he was still managing to push Brofston back was enough of a feat. Kelvin himself admits Brofston is strong, but Brofston had heard from Rick that Kelvin holds himself back for the audience. And Kelvin tells him he can't show his true power now or else everyone would find out he was faking to struggle in fights. Brofston got it and understood his circumstances. So if he can't fight with his full power, Brofston chose to hold back and decided to use only 2 fingers to fight and won't move from his spot. Then Kelvin gets in again. And Brofston stayed true to his words of holding back. The audience were cheering for Kelvin and Kelvin was feeling bad that he's missing out such a great fight. So the old man told him not to pretend anymore. His wish was to train the strongest fighter in the world. It's his wish and dream, so he told Kelvin to go all out, and not think about anything else. So now that there are no restrictions, Kelvin decided to go all out, but Brofston was blocking him too easily. It's like no attack could harm him and he threw Kelvin off. But he saves himself with magic, and the audience started to notice Kelvin was pretending all this time. It was to be expected, so now he uses magic attack of Fire Wave. But a beastman should be weak in magic, So Rick explains that Kelvin must have gone crazy with his training to reach this level, but Brufston again blocked this attack as well. So Kelvin gets in for another attack and used ropes to bind Brufston, and Rick was getting scared with the ongoing situation. Then Kelvin casted an 8-level spell and called a freaking meteor down from the sky, and Rick got scared because at this rate, Brufston won't hold back anymore. And there the big guy just broke the 8-level spell with brute force, and someone was shocked and someone already left his emotions aside. Now seeing this, Brufston challenges Kelvin in a traditional orc way. This thumbs up means the orc won't defend and fight and would only attack, which means Brufston is going on full offense and Kelvin felt the pressure of the big guy. Even the force from punch sends Kelvin back, so Kelvin used all his high-level spells. But nothing fazed Brufston even a little. He didn't even defend himself, and Kelvin runs out of mana and took a fatal hit in the guts. If someone else gets hit like this he could surely die. But Kelvin yet survived and still wished to fight more. That was his wish for a very long time, to go all out, and sadly his body had started kicking in. But the audience started to cheer for Kelvin even more, and seeing them like that, Kelvin chose to give it his all in his final attack. That flame attack created a big bang, but yet Brufston was fine like nothing happened, yet he still acknowledged Kelvin's power. So even though he lost, for Kelvin, it's the best fight he had in his entire life. That is why, sometimes winning isn't everything, sometimes defeat also brings a new type of joy, and just like that our episode 10 ends right here. So stay tuned to watch the next episode of the Ossan Newbie Adventurer on my channel. Until then, take care.